Well, they say that nothing beats home-cooked Filipino food. This Fil-Am chef tries to replicate by exploring recipes that remind her of the Philippines. So tell us about her debut book, Philippine X, Heritage Recipes from the Diaspora. Chef Angela Dimayuga joins us now live from New York. Chef Angela, thank you so much for joining us and congratulations on your debut cookbook.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Why did you name the cookbook Philippine X?
Well, I wanted to lead with the fact that I'm Filipino-American. And I think that's really important, it being a debut cookbook and knowing that my experience is a Filipino-American experience. I grew up in San Jose in California, and San Jose is 30% Asian, 30% Mexican. And of the 30% Asians are plenty of Filipinos. And my proximity to Latinx culture via being around a lot of Mexican-American immigrants is something that was uniquely my own experience, and wanted to share that even with the title.
And of course, this book has 100 personal recipes, Chef Angela. How did you compile all of this, and what and who got you into cooking?
I compiled 100 recipes because this is an idea that I've wanted to do for many years. I thankfully come from a great family of Pampangan chefs. Home cooks. My mom and my grandmother are amazing cooks that have sort of led our culinary tradition in our family. And I've been cooking since I was a kid, and professionally cooking in restaurant kitchens since I was in my early 20s, so almost 15 years now. And so this was a project that I really wanted to do and felt honored to do during the pandemic, to honor my family and keep exploring my own identity within the realm of bookmaking and research and history.
And you were born and raised in California, and then you moved to New York City, and there you learned to make everything from bistro fare to Asian American cuisine. What experience made you return to your roots, the family's home cooking?
There was a turning point in my career where I had been told that Eurocentric food was the way of life to become a chef here in America. And at a certain point, I was looking at my work that I would do studying European food and looking at the recipes in my own home. And the turning point is an experience learning how to make chicken relleno from my Lola. And her name is Lola Josefina. And her chicken is something that was a staple in my household growing up. And once I realized that those techniques just at home were maybe even more technically advanced than what I've been learning in restaurant kitchens, I thought that would be a great time to really dig in and dive deeper into how lucky I am that I have that experience, and how I really wanted to explore that for myself ultimately.
And just taking a look at some of the dishes that you have in the book, it's really making me so hungry. Angela, it's already after dinner here in Manila. And I'm ready to basically go home and try out some of these dishes and maybe order them from some of the restaurants. Of course, from the 100 personal recipes that you have in this book, Philippine X, tell us, what are your top 3 Filipino dishes?
I would say that the chicken adobo that I have there, which is a chicken adobo with coconut milk, is one that I love. It's one of the most popular recipes there, but I love the storytelling that we do there and explaining that to a global audience that, there's a misconception of what a Philippine adobo is, and it's actually an indigenous dish. And because of the name that Spanish folks gave our dish, people often don't know what flavor profile they might expect, and the sourness and the history of preserving meat, I think is really exciting. So that one's a great introductory, because those that might be a little intimidated to cook at home, this is a really great starter recipe. I, of course, love the chicken relleno dish that I mentioned earlier, because it includes so many beautiful memories that I have with my mom and my Lola, and is probably the most technically advanced dish. And then simply, I love this really, really easy dish called a corn slush that I made in response to memories of my flea market shopping with my mom and then coming home and her cracking open a can of creamed corn and dumping it over ice with some sugar and milk. And this is my version of homage to that memory. Very simple and very delicious.
You know what? Let's talk about your adobo dish, no? Because you put a fresh spin on one of the best known dishes in the Philippines and in the Filipino-American community. As they say, there are 7,100 islands in the country, and you have 700,100 varieties of the adobo. What new flavors, Angela, did you introduce into the Dimayuga recipe?
Yeah, so this is a version that exists in many places around the Philippines, but again, in my household, we used vinegar, soy sauce, garlic, bay leaf, and those were the main ingredients. But when I was probably around like 12 or 13, my brother introduced this paper old book, cookbook from the 70s, tattered. I don't even know where it came from, but there was an edition of coconut milk, which we didn't use in my family growing up. I know other families did, but that was new for me and very exciting as a young person. And the idea of adding coconut milk to these bold flavors that are very prominent, the saltiness of soy sauce, the sourness of the vinegar, it adds like a really beautiful balance. And so what you have is this luscious velvety texture that I really love to share. And I think really surprises people and excites them when they try this dish for the first time. Never having anyone made it for them before often.
This is a unique take on the Filipino adobo. Just describing it to me and to our viewers is really making me hungry. I want to taste that adobo when I visit you in New York. And briefly, you are a multidisciplinary artist. You're not only a chef, but also a performance artist, culinary curator, and a contributing writer for the New York Times. You're one busy lady. You've got your hands full.
I love having my hands full. I love juggling many plates, and I'd love to cook for you sometime. It would be an honor.
Thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. Chef Angela Dimayuga, the author of her debut cookbook, Filipinx.